Hello! My name is Josh and I make videos about Dungeons & Dragons, for both players and DMs. In today's video, I'm covering fighting style feats. Shwing! I'm a sword today. Fighting style feats are specialized abilities available to fighters, rangers, and paladins. These feats are meant to support a certain type of class fantasy, the fantasy of using a specific type of weapon, combat style, or ability. For example, among the options we will talk about, we have Archery for the archers, Blind Fighting for the Daredevil fans, and Unarmed Fighting for people too cheap to buy weapons. There are 10 to choose from, but really there's 12. We'll get to that, don't worry. I'll go through them all, so by the end of this video, you should know what they do and which one you're gonna pick on your next character. Depending on your class, you'll get access to fighting style feats in slightly different but important ways. Look at me. Important ways. Fighters get access at level 1 and can swap them out each time they level up. The other two are not only delayed a level, but they're locked into that choice forever. Regardless of your class, the 10 main feats are all up for grabs, so I'll cover them first. First up, we have Archery. You gain a +2 bonus to attack rolls you make with ranged weapons. This one is for your ranged combat loving types, for those who love weapons like crossbows.
I always hated crossbows. Take too long to load!
Oh, so let's say you're attacking a target with an AC of 15. Assuming you're in the ranged weapon's normal range, it's just a straight attack roll. When you make your ranged attack, you are adding your proficiency bonus and dexterity modifier to see if you hit. You need at least an 11 on that d20 to hit. With the archery feat, every attack with a ranged weapon gets a +2 bonus to hit, so you now only need to roll a 9 to hit the target. In exchange for the relative safety of being far away from danger, ranged weapons tend to do less damage and have fewer supporting mechanics. The archery feat is an exception. Increasing ranged accuracy is a roundabout way of increasing the damage of ranged weapons. If you hit more often, you're doing damage more often. If you want to be Legolas or pin a fly to a tree without killing it, archery is perfect for you. Blind Fighting. You gain blind sight out to a range of 10 feet. Blind sight is a special sense similar to dark vision. We see blind sight used in certain beast stat blocks like the bat to simulate echolocation. But it's your choice how to flavor it. Mechanically, as long as something isn't behind total cover, you can see it. It doesn't matter if you're in darkness or have the blinded condition. Let's actually talk about the blinded condition real quick and see what blind sight does to help when you can't see. There's two parts to this condition and neither are good for you. First, the can't see effect. You can't see, shockingly, and you fail sight-based ability checks. Second is attacks affected. You have disadvantage on attacks and attacks have advantage against you. Blind sight specifically says that you can see without relying on physical sight even if you have the blinded condition. That seems to overtly cancel out at least the first part. You or your DM may feel differently, but blind sight never actually says it cancels out the attacks affected part. Maybe that's intended, maybe it's an oversight, I don't know. But depending on your DM's ruling, this makes the blind sight really good or just okay. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Whatever the case, blind sight does let you ignore the invisible condition in specific spells, usually illusions like blur. Because the rules for stealth work with the invisible condition, creatures can't actually hide from you unless they're behind total cover. This feat is pretty interesting, but surprisingly complicated. If you want to play as a mystical character with supernatural perception, or have spidey sense, this would be complementary to that fantasy. Defense. I personally really like defense. A +1 to your AC while wearing armor makes you harder to hit. You might flavor this as your character positioning themselves to protect their armor's weak points. Unless you're taken prisoner or something, this is a permanent buff to your armor class. This is good on any character, at any level, and very much new player friendly. This feat is great for a knight in shining armor like a Kingsguard from Game of Thrones or
It's time to
Dueling. Another simple one. While holding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain a +2 bonus to that weapon's damage. This one has the hidden benefit of allowing you to use a shield, enjoying a +2 to your AC while also doing more damage. Alternatively, you can leave a hand free, opening up opportunities to grapple, draw and throw another weapon, utilize an item, or cast a spell. This is an interesting pick for a variety of builds. You could be a duelist like Count Dooku or Sirio Forel, or a generalist like Link. Before we get to what might be the worst option of all, I'd just like to say if you enjoy this content, subscribe to see more. Thank you. Not to be confused with Great Weapon Master, Great Weapon Fighting is super simple and beginner friendly. When you roll for damage for an attack you make with a melee weapon that you are holding with 2 hands, you can treat any 1 or 2 on a damage die as a 3. The weapon must have the 2-handed or versatile property to gain this benefit. In theory, by using certain weapons like the Great Sword, which uses 2d6, and features like Hunter's Mark or Radiant Strikes, you're adding more dice. More dice means you're theoretically boosting more 1s and 2s into a 3, so you nickel and dime your way into doing more damage. This feat is for those who despise rolling low for damage. It's for characters that use large weapons and hit hard, like a Cloud or a Brute Chieftain. These next 2 feats are very similar, so I'll cover them both at the same time. Interception and Protection. Interception reads like this. When a creature you can see hits another creature within 5 feet of you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage dealt to the target by 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. You must be holding a shield or a simple or martial weapon to use this reaction. Conversely, Protection reads like this. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can take a reaction to interpose your shield if you're holding one. You impose disadvantage on the triggering attack roll and all other attack rolls against the target until the start of your next turn if you remain within 5 feet of the target. Okay, so immediately we have some differences and some similarities. Interception is a guaranteed lowering of that damage by an amount equal to 1d10 plus your proficiency bonus. Protection imposes disadvantage on the triggering attack roll and all others that follow until the start of your next turn, but you must remain within 5 feet of the creature you are shielding. Now, Protection doesn't guarantee anything will happen. It imposes disadvantage, but the attack still might hit, but it pretty much prevents critical hits due to disadvantage. Both feats have similar goals. Interception is probably better at lower levels. Its guaranteed effect will likely cause your ally to take 0 damage from an attack. The downside is this only applies to one attack and the effect barely scales with your level. Protection, on the other hand, is always useful, and it gets better and better at higher levels when enemies start having 2, 3, 4 attacks. I recommend this over Interception for Paladin and Ranger specifically, as they can't trade it out as they level up, whereas fighters may enjoy Interception for a time but then want to swap out for Protection. If you want to play a Defender or Bodyguard, a Captain America type, either of these will do nicely. Thrown Weapon Fighting. Ever go out axe throwing? Basically that. Your ranged attack rolls made with weapons that have the thrown property gain a +2 to their damage. So daggers, hand axes, and light hammers would all deal extra damage when thrown. This one is similar to Dueling, but you're drawing and throwing a new weapon for each attack. The variety of thrown weapons, each having their own damage type and weapon mastery, makes this a very interesting mid-ranged fighting style. It's more complicated and versatile than one may think. If you're the knife thrower at the circus, or that emo chick from Avatar, this is perfect for you. 2-Weapon Fighting. This feat reads, when you make an extra attack as a result of using a weapon that has the light property, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of that attack if you aren't already adding it to the damage. So what does that mean? Well, to understand, we have to look at the light weapon property. The light property reads as follows. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon, you can make 1 extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon, and you don't add your ability modifier to the extra attack's damage unless that modifier is negative. And it provides an example. You can attack with a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other, using the attack action and a bonus action. But you don't add your strength or dexterity modifier to the damage of the bonus action attack unless that modifier is negative. I can appreciate this gets confusing, so let's talk about fighting with 2 weapons real quick. For any standard attack, the attack action allows you to make an attack with a weapon you are holding. So for this example, let's use the light hammer. Let's say we roll high enough. We hit and roll damage. 1d6 plus strength is subtracted from our target's health. Well, if we're holding a scimitar in the other hand, we have more to do. The scimitar has the light weapon property. And thanks to the scimitar being a light weapon, we can use a bonus action to make an attack roll with it. The attack roll works the same, but the damage is weaker because we don't add that modifier. This is sometimes referred to as an offhand attack, so that's action attack with the hammer, and a bonus action attack using the light weapon property to attack with a scimitar. With me so far? If we were to pick up the 2-weapon fighting feat, we simply add our modifier to the light weapon bonus action attack. Now they're pretty much the same. This pairs well with the Nick weapon mastery and the dual wielder feats, but that's a different video. If you want to be this guy or Jet, this feat is for you. The last of the fighting style feats, Unarmed Fighting. It reads, when you hit with your unarmed strike and deal damage, you can deal bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier instead of the normal damage of an unarmed strike. If you aren't holding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d6 becomes a d8. In addition, at the start of each of your turns, you can deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage to one creature grappled by you. So your fists now deal as much damage as a sword, and your hugs hurt people. Unarmed strikes are great. You can deal damage, push, grapple, super versatile. I explained how they worked in my Origin Feats video, so go ahead and check that out. Link in the description. However, if you never use weapons, know that you'll be missing out on weapon mastery. This style is for those too cheap to buy weapons or who don't want to rely on weapons. If you want to be Bane or the Hulk, or a professional wrestler, this may be the style for you. We have 2 more to cover real quick, and they're somewhat mirrors of each other. Exclusive to Paladin, we have Blessed Warrior. Exclusive to Ranger, Druidic Warrior. These options can be taken at level 2 instead of a fighting style feat, so I count them as such. Blessed Warrior grants the Paladin 2 cantrips from the Cleric spell list. These cantrips are cast with Charisma, like the other Paladin spells. Druidic Warrior grants the Ranger 2 Druid cantrips cast with Wisdom. Both feats allow a cantrip to be swapped out each time you gain a level in their respective class. This is a notable exception because the other feats do not allow for this kind of versatility. This is an option for a warrior who also leans into the magical side of things like Gil Thunder from 7 Deadly Sins or the Lorax. So those are the 10 to 12 fighting style feats in the player's handbook. Which was your favorite? Which is your least favorite? I'd love to know, so feel free to comment below. I do like responding to those and seeing what you all think. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something, were entertained, or ideally both. On the left here, YouTube in all its great wisdom will recommend a video of mine. On the right, you'll find a playlist with other D&D guides. Thanks for watching and enjoy.